Welcome back to 1700 Home. You are here with Demi and Tom, and we have a brand new exciting interview. Today's guest began his music career when he was only 15 years old and has been all around the world as a professional dancer.
With his debut EP Departures set to release on the 25th of September, we welcome the singer-songwriter and producer, Tommy Wilson, also known as Elme. How are you today?
Yeah, good. So excited to be here.
Exciting times. So despite everything going on right now, we firstly need to congratulate you on the release of your new EP Departures that came out on Friday 25th. How excited are you that it's finally out?
Oh my God, so excited. Thank you so much. It's been a long time in the making. I never thought it would really be here. So I'm just delighted that it's come out, and despite all the craziness that's happened this year as well, it feels extra special.
It's awesome that it's coming out finally again, especially everything that's happened this year. Just to start as well, we want to take it back a little bit and go back to when you first began your music journey. What inspired you to start music from such a young age?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think I've grown up in a musical family. A lot of my older brother, I'm actually the youngest of 6 kids, and a lot of my older siblings played instruments and played in bands and stuff like that. And, even my sort of extended family were all very musical. My mom had such appreciation for music. So it was always playing in the house. And I think I was always just humming and singing around. When I started learning piano and things like that and experimenting with songwriting with the kids at school, it was just something that I had to keep doing. Yeah, that's sort of how it started, I think.
And with your experience in the arts, being a professional dancer for a little bit of time, and then I imagine, did you take a huge break from music while you were doing the professional dancing thing?
While I was a professional, it wasn't as big, but I sort of, I did take a break from music and sort of put all the eggs in the dancing basket and did some competitions and things like that. And I was really fortunate to do some traveling with things like that. And then when I went on tour with the dancing show, like weirdly, music started to come back up again. Where I was doing pretty much non-stop dancing. I started, really trying to work out what music production was and all those sorts of things on the road and all the downtime that we had as well.
Was it scary diving back fully into the music stuff? Like, it's good to know that it kind of eased its way back and kind of snuck in again, but was it scary kind of building your Elme project and putting that out there?
Yeah, it was, because I think it was so vastly different from what I'd done previously. I was like singing folky, singer-songwriter stuff with with a piano or a guitar. But I think even when I was making that music as a teenager, I always had this vision of something bigger. Like I loved a big dramatic sound with harps and gongs and, electronic beats that would all sort of come together in one way. And I think, that's what I wanted to do with Elme, and I didn't really have the skill set to do it. I wasn't quite sure how it was gonna be there, and whether the people who enjoyed my music previously would still be on board with this new sort of vision. And I think I was really lucky to have a lot of encouragement from, my cousin Sean, who performs on the name of Laoki over in Ireland, but also my friend Elle, who's Woods. And she was very much sort of saying, well, you'll get new fans, or new people will come. So it's a slow burn, but stick with it. And I'm really glad that I did.
It's funny you mentioned Woods. We actually have a question set up here. How important was it to have someone like Woods encourage you to release your own music?
Yeah, it was so important to me anyway. I think I'm so indecisive, and oftentimes, it's really hard to put a little piece of yourself out there each time. So it's always good to have someone to bounce ideas off, and even just the whole behind the scenes side of things. It's really overwhelming, and there's a lot of information out there, and it's really great to have someone who's sort of been through it all and done it, and is so willing to share, her experiences. And it's been, my experience with a lot of people in the music industry here in Australia. Everyone's really wants to help everybody out. So I think it's been great.
That's so good, especially just like the camaraderie of the music industry in Australia. But another question I personally had, the name Elm, where did that come from? Is it a secret or can you tell us?
I can tell you, it's not that cool though. I wish it was like I had this, telepathic vision or something from an elm tree, but it's really not like that. I think when I started writing music, I was in general, I think I tend to write about what's in front of me or what's around me, and I'm quite a visual person, so it might be sitting at a window ledge talking to someone on Zoom, and that might be the catalyst of where like an idea or a theme comes through. But at the time when I started writing music, a lot of that was about nature. I loved any imagery of like forests and mountains and things like that. And I guess when I started the project, I wanted something that would almost pay homage to like how I started all of this, or would remind me of like where all this started from, and how it was really quite humble beginnings and really simple. Like I just loved to sit down and write a song with a guitar, and it was like cathartic. And I wanted this to be something bigger, but I didn't want it to be overwhelmingly huge, that the scale of it would become overwhelming and I wouldn't stick with it. So I guess that whole the name sort of derived from an elm tree. And then just wanted to stylize it a little bit more to make it feel modern and fresh, and also emphasize that this is going to be something new, and something different to what I've done before.
Awesome. You're in Melbourne as well, in lockdown, like a lot of us. With the debut EP releasing during, I presume, lockdown for a lot of us, has that, is that something that you expected to happen? Has it changed your expectations of the EP, or are you just excited to get it out there into the world?
I don't think it's really changed the expectations. I think in actual fact, once lockdown happened, that's when I was like, all right, this needs to get done. Like I've got all this downtime. I really have no other reason or other excuse not to really knuckle down into this, and get it out there. It would have been great to do a live show, and I have so many cool ideas, and I haven't performed in quite some time. So I'm really looking forward to getting to do that again when it's safe for us all to do so. But I don't think it changed too much. In anything, I think it was a catalyst to get a wriggle on and get this out.
I feel like lockdown has done that for quite a lot of us in very simple ways, and then ways like that. But with your singles, Kids and Somewhere, Now Departures, the way you blend electronica and indie is absolutely seamless. But do you have particular elements that you tend to reach for from each genre to mix it all together, or do you have any favorite rhythms or lyrics that you use?
Thank you so much, first of all. That's really high praise. It's something I try really hard to do. But yeah, I guess the thing I always come back to is just like nylon string guitar. Like I just love the way it sounds, and I think it lends itself to being layered with lots of other sort of more electronic sounds. And I guess other things that I come back to now is especially with the beats and rhythm section, I really love working with breakbeat samples, and cutting them all up to make an entirely new beat altogether. And then everything else just sort of fits in. I tried my biggest influences I think would be Björk and Kate Bush. So I always feel I don't try to, but it just comes out as this, I'll gravitate towards sounds that give a big atmosphere and a lot of space, and then have this, vintagey style drum and bass beat with a nylon string guitar. I just try and put those things that are quite far and see what they sound like when they all come together. Yeah.
Do you start with the beats in that first, or do you do the lyrics as well? What's the best process for you?
Yeah, I always start with, it usually starts all on guitar, just sort of probably sitting on the end of my bed, and humming melodies until lyrics come. And then, lyrics will probably be the first thing, because I need a whole structure of the song in order to produce it. I can't sort of just, I wish I could just sit down and open up a session and start fiddling around and come out with a song. And it's got to be a little bit more systematic for it to work for me at this stage. But yeah, and I tend to rewrite the same song over and over and over again. So typically I'll write like just a ton of verses and just like get everything I want to say out of here and onto a page. And then I'll slowly pare it back and move lines around until I can, get a narrative or something like that, and say what I need to say in as few words as possible is the aim. Yeah. I don't know if I achieve that always though.
No, you sounded great. For that process, is that something that it just worked for you, or was that something that you were taught growing up when you were writing music and learning about music, or is that something that just works?
Certainly just getting everything onto the page is something that, like my cousin Sean, like, and when we first started writing music, we were doing a lot of writing together, and that was something she always really encouraged. And I found it helpful. And then, in year 12, actually, when I was like 18, I read a lot of Seamus Heaney poetry. And he's like an Irish poet. And I don't know, he just taught me that you can say a lot without saying too much. And all of his words are like, nearly one syllable words. They're really short lines. The verses are really small. And it just has this sort of greater nuanced meaning, which I think allows for more like interpretation and from your own life. And I think it sort of lingers in your head a little bit. And, like something seeming like there could be quite banal or seemingly quite simple, all of a sudden becomes quite complex. And I think in pop music in general, that's like my overall aim. And I don't think I've ever quite gotten there yet. Yeah, but that's what I always try and do, because I think, when like you're making something that's meant to be widely like accessible to a wide audience, everybody loves pop music on some level. And like in turn, I think your lyrics need to sort of reflect the experience of like a large group of people or a large scale of people and collective experiences.
Aside from this brand new EP, have you got any further projects that you're doing with Elme that will take you closer towards the goal?
I'm doing lots of writing at the moment, like especially in lockdown, I've been really pushing myself to connect with other creators and writers and producers and session musicians. I think in the time when we're all really isolated, that's been something that's made me feel really connected to the craft and also to the community, like in Australia. And yeah, I'm super grateful for that. And I've learned a lot already from, from my peers, if you call them, I don't know. And yeah, I think, some of the songs I'm most excited about that I've done will be coming out like as a product of lockdown, I think, and a product like of connecting with people like sooner than I probably would have before that. I think there was a part of me that was just like, okay, like you can either reach out to all these people or you can wait until lockdown goes. And sure, like I love that sort of atmosphere and energy when you sit in a room with another songwriter and you try and write a song, like there's nothing quite like it in the world. But this has been something that's, doing things online and remotely is really different and fresh, and keeps it exciting and engaging. And I think everyone is just really keen to like put something out and to like have created something, like especially in a period where you almost feel so hopeless, like all you can really do it, like the best thing you can do for humanity is to stay inside and do very little. So it feels good that we can all come together and work towards something. And that's, I don't know. So I don't know if I actually answered your question there. I'm excited about the songs that are coming out. And I think just generally, each time you do it, it gets closer and closer. Even with production wise, I always like measure success by like, how you imagine it in your head when you're writing it that first time versus how it comes out. And the aim is to like reduce that distance each time. And I think it just takes practice, and like every song you write, you learn from. So I don't think you'll ever get there, but maybe every time you get a bit closer.
Awesome. And then speaking of the future as well, is there, when the lockdown does end, is there potentially a tour brewing in the background for you as well?
Nothing set in stone, but it's something I really want to prioritize. I love performing, and I haven't sung live in a long time, and like I just want to get out there and see all these people on the internet that are listening to my songs and have a boogie and have a sing. And I want to do fun stuff with visuals and like maybe even get some dancers on stage, like who knows. But I just would love it to do a dynamic show. Nothing set in stone yet, but stay tuned because I'm working really hard to make it happen.
We are so excited for when that does happen, hopefully very soon, because we all want to boogie. Like, don't get us wrong. But in the meantime, and to wrap up, where can we find more information about Elm, and where can we listen to your debut EP?
My EP is live on all streaming sites. You can follow me on Instagram, Elme Music, for updates on what I'm doing. And yeah, just drop me a DM or an email. Like, I love reading stuff and hearing about your experience with the songs as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Tommy.
No, thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here.